Hello everyone and welcome to Daily Car News. Today is Thursday, August 19th, 2021, and I'm trying to do some news. What about you? Okay, and we're going to jump right in with some EV news, starting with the Genesis GV60. So this is going to be built on the same architecture as the Hyundai Ioniq 5, and the Kia EV6. So I have the numbers here. We're looking at between a 58 to 77.4 kilowatt hour battery, potentially up to 577 horsepower if it shares the same guts as the Kia EV6 GT. Lots of letters and numbers here. And potentially 300 plus mile range. Now, because this is based on the platform like the Kia EV6, it's going to have kind of a chunky hatchback / lowered crossover kind of vibe, you know what I mean? It's going to have like that long hood, the cool like kind of sloping rear roof line. It's a good looking car, I think, and I love the color that the press photos are in, especially with that blue interior. Of course, this being a Genesis, it's going to have a generous offering of luxurious features, including a crystal sphere shift knob. For some reason. Can't wait to see what that's all about. Anyway, this thing is coming out soon. I know that we're going to have more details about it in the coming days and weeks. So let's keep our eyes peeled and see what Genesis has to offer in the EV game. Next up is the Alpha Motor Corporation. These are kind of an independent EV company out of California. Back in December of 2020, they released concept art for a little two-door runabout called the Ace, and then later the Jax, which is like the Safari version of the Ace, and a few other kind of concepts. But they're saying that on August 24th in the Peterson Museum, they'll be unveiling their pickup truck called the Alpha Wolf. So this is, of course, a completely electric truck. The thing is, up until now, everything that they've released has been a concept, a rendering. However, they've already released photos of the truck under some covers. So it's cool to see the Alpha Wolf in existence in real tangible space. I'm not entirely sure if it's going to be a fully functional truck that they release or reveal at the Peterson in the coming days, but I'm really, really stoked to kind of see mini trucks come back. But with the Ford Maverick and now the Alpha Wolf, I think that the return of the mini truck is nigh. But whether it's a gas, hybrid, or fully EV, it's fun to have something that is both functional and kind of stylish, I guess. The Alpha Wolf seems to be very heavily stylized and very rugged. So the starting price of the Alpha Wolf should be somewhere around the $40,000 mark. It is projected to have possibly a 275 mile-ish range and 0 to 60 time of about 6.2 seconds, which is a darn sight faster than my 95 Ford Ranger, let me tell you. So if everything goes to plan, we should see production of the Alpha Wolf begin in about 2023. Next up, we have a follow-up to the story that we did about drag times testing the Rimac Nevera at the drag strip. He pitted the $2.4 million electric hypercar against the Tesla Model S Plaid. Now, for $124,000, the Plaid, I would say, is about the bargain of the century if the $2.4 million price tag only gets you about half a second faster in the quarter mile. The Rimac Nevera averaged at 8.6 second quarter mile, where the Model S Plaid did it in 9.3 seconds. So both cars are incredibly respectable, super fast in the quarter mile. And they would lay the smackdown basically to almost any and every hypercar in existence to this day that doesn't run on batteries. The Rimac Nevera did 0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds, and the Tesla did it in 2.08 seconds. So these things can really get up and move. Audi has announced that they are bringing S versions of their e-tron and e-tron Sportbacks to the US for the 2022 model year. So we'll see them in 2021. So the main difference between the S and non-S variants is that the S has 3 asynchronous electric motors, 2 in the rear and then 1 for the front. So this allows for torque vectoring on the rear wheels. And of course, this also means much higher horsepower. The S version is much quicker. It does 0 to 60 in 4.3 seconds, which is definitely no slouch for a hatchback and estate-style vehicle. So the non-S e-tron and e-tron Sportback get 222 and 218 miles respectively, while the S versions will get 208 and 212 miles of range respectively. And it looks like the price will be much higher as well. It looks like the prices are going to be at least $18,000 more than the non-S versions of the e-tron. So you'll be paying a nice premium for a little extra horsepower and a little less range. And to wrap up today's EV news, the Volkswagen ID.3 Pure, which was a base model, kind of stripped down version of Volkswagen's little EV car that was actually introduced in January, has been discontinued. And Volkswagen says this is due to the chip shortage. So another blow to the automotive industry with all these supply chain issues. So no more ID.3 Pure. Looks like you're going to have to fork over some extra cash for a little nicer version of the ID.3. Now, it doesn't look like the ID.3 Pure will be back anytime soon, and potentially it may not be back at all. So jumping into the world of automotive news, let's just talk about the C8 Z06 real quick. Can we please? I am more and more obsessed with the C8 as the days go by. And this new Z06, after hearing the sound clips and now seeing this thing tear up the Nürburgring, and also, again, hearing that incredible exhaust note. So the rumors right now are that the Z06 will be using a variant of the 5.5-liter V8 out of the C8.R, the race car, the Corvette C8 race car, which is dual overhead cams, potentially a flat plane crank, which is really exciting, and maybe a 9,000 RPM rev limit. And on top of that, 617 horsepower. The exhaust sounds amazing. The transmission sounds incredibly fast. I believe it's a Rimac transmission that'll be put into this car. Some spy shots have, it seems to show a magnesium housing maybe for the transmission, which is super lightweight, of course. So this Z06 is going to be a really serious car, and I just cannot get over that exhaust note. It makes me think of like a Ferrari F355 or something. It's just incredible. I can't wait for this car. Speaking of performance versions of existing models, we've recently received more spy shots and spy video of the upcoming Bronco. Now it's called the Bronco Raptor. I believe the term Warthog was being thrown around for a while, but it looks like Ford is going to stick with the Raptor name. And of course, this is the bigger, beefier, powered version of the Bronco that has, incredibly wide stance, big, huge fender flares. We haven't seen it unmasked. It's always been, under camouflage. But apparently, this thing may be taking the powertrain from the Ford F-150, the 3.5-liter, twin turbo V6 with 450 horsepower. Could potentially also use the 3-liter twin turbo V6 from the Explorer ST, which is only 400 horsepower. But either way, this thing looks incredibly beefy. I'm already a huge fan of the design of the new Bronco, so if you're amping up the grunt a little bit, I'm just all for it. I can't wait. Believe it or not, the current version of the Lincoln Navigator has been out for 3 years already. Came out in 2018. But for the 2022 model year, it is getting some facelift items and some new technology added. For the facelift, we're getting new headlights and a new front fascia. Those headlights, by the way, are pixel projector headlights. The rear is getting a facelift as well, or a butt lift, with some new tail lights and rear fascia. And of course, the big news is that the Navigator is getting what's called Active Glide. It's Lincoln's version of Ford's Blue Cruise, which is not necessarily a fully autonomous driver's mode, but it's more of an assist. Has things like lane keep assist active cruise control, sign recognition. But it's definitely useful on long drives. You know, you can just takes the pressure off of driving for a long time because it's so hard. Driving a Lincoln, it's just got to be so hard. But the passengers and the vehicle will also be incredibly happy, as the Lincoln Navigator will now have Amazon Fire Stick. So your passengers can ride in comfort and watch their favorite TV shows and movies and be entertained, as if riding along in a brand new Lincoln isn't fun enough. Now, we're going to talk about a car that I'm personally very excited about. It's the 2022 Toyota GR86. So it's moving in under the Gazoo Racing umbrella name. And this new car, man, first of all, duckbill spoiler. It looks fantastic. I love the new front end. I love the new design cues. It looks incredibly sharp. It looks very sporty. Duckbill spoiler. And I'm a huge fan. It also has more horsepower. So we're talking 228 horsepower out of now a 2.4 liter boxer engine, whereas the outgoing version only has a 2 liter. And they got rid of the torque dip. There's a huge problem with the GT86 FRS BRZ. I almost bought one, an older one. And that was one of the main reasons I passed it up. It didn't have enough power. This new model with the updated power, with more torque, man, what a good-looking car. Duckbill spoiler. Did I mention that it had a duckbill spoiler? I'm so excited for this car. Can't wait to see it on the road in a couple of months. And I may actually pop down to the dealership and see if this 6'4" frame can fit in the driver's seat, because boy howdy. Duckbill spoiler. And to wrap up today's show, let's do a little speculation, shall we? So we all know that Acura has announced the return of the Integra for 2022, another car which I am incredibly excited for. What do we think this thing is going to look like? So we've seen a couple of pictures of the test mule out and about. We've also seen the teaser little video that Acura posted on Instagram. We've also seen when the car was announced at Monterey last week, they did a drone show and they gave the silhouette of the car, which to me, the silhouette from the drone show looks a little bit like a Mustang. So I'm curious to see what the actual design of this car will look like. What do we think? And I want you to let me know in the comments below. What do we think this car is going to have under the hood? What do we think this car is going to have as far as drivetrain? Is it going to be front-wheel drive, all-wheel drive? Do you think that they'll deviate from the front-wheel drive kind of fastback design that the Integra has had in the past? I'm kind of hoping that they take some of the guts from the Honda Civic Type R and just slap it under a new body, because, man, I've driven the Type R, and that is just an incredibly fun car, very responsive. So who knows? And I'm really hoping Acura, give us a manual. Please give us a manual. Give us a manual and give us championship white. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking. It's what the people want. Okay, Acura, just hear me out. It's what the people want. Guys, thank you so much for staying tuned. Thank you so much for watching and hanging out with us today. All of our social media information is in the description below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Stick with us. We're having a couple of technical issues, but we are going to get through this, and we're going to provide you news every single day of the week. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.